Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. Today we're going to present for LPE2301 AP assessment, which is about the challenges of online educations. Before we started, let us introduce ourselves first. My name is KHAIRUL bin Zulkifli and my metric number is 209106.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad AFIQ bin Muhammad Afandi and my metric number is 209111.
Hi, my name is Muhammad AZIZUL bin Mahadi and my metric number is 208430.
Do you know that during the COVID-19 pandemic, most of the countries around the world are affected and Malaysia is not accepted? So our government implement the Movement Control Order, which is MCO, to manage and cope that virus so it cannot spread out. Stay at home, that is what government said. So for three of us as UPM student, from the beginning of our admission as bachelor students until the end of our second semester, which is right now, we have never felt the atmosphere for being the college student. We cannot have a lesson in lecture room. We cannot hang out with our friends to the cafe. And did you know what the funniest thing is? Some of us didn't even recognize their own classmate. And that is what happened to me. But for our learning session is still going on. This is not an exception. We still have to go through learning sessions, but with the difference than the traditional one. And that is called online education. So what is online education? Online education is a form of education where students can use their own device, whether smartphone, laptop, PC or tablet, as long as it can reach the internet access. Online education is a way to teach and learn outside of traditional classroom and away from school or college campus. The COVID-19 pandemic has triggered these new ways of learning. For many education institutes, this is an entirely new way of education that they have to adopt. Online learning is now applicable not just to learn academics, but it also extends to learning extracurricular activities for students. In recent months, the demand for online learning has risen significantly, and I guess it will continue doing so in the future. Wait, does online education have issues? We have to realize something. Different students live in different circumstances, the different journey. They are not in the same shoes. Not all students can adapt well with these new ways of learning. So we have recognized some of the issues that can become the challenges for the students in online education process. And that is what we're going to highlight in this presentation. Before we go in further, let's take a look at the preview first. Later, I will explain about the first point, which is technology issues, and the next presenter will present the second and third point, which are inability to focus on screen and not suitable for all subjects. For the last point, requires strong self-motivations, third presenter will present it, and he will also conclude our presentation. Without wasting time, let's begin with the first point, which is technology issues. In this modern world, we've been living full of creative technologies. Subhanallah, amazing. But we must be aware that not all students are able to follow the rhythm of today's technologies. I have two reasons to support this point. First is, not all students have good internet access in their home. For example, some students who live in rural areas, they need to go to more developed area which is far from their home to get the good internet access. This is due to the fact that the rural areas receive less attention in terms of internet coverage. They can support the rural residents to access the internet. This was happened to the Viviana Mosibin, a Sabahan girl who got viral last year in social media, that she climbed up the tree just to get a better internet for her exams. The struggle is real. Second is not every student has the suitable device to attend the online classes. In our country, there are still people who cannot afford to have their own gadget for learning purposes, especially during this pandemic where most people are struggling to survive with limited income. I read some sharing on Twitter from random people said some of them had to share one gadget with their siblings for the use of online classes. Can you guys imagine that in one family there is more than one person who is student? Maybe two, maybe three, or maybe more than that, which means their parents needs multiple devices to let their kids get the proper educations. And you know what the worst thing is? This one girl said she had to skip her online class to let her brother use her gadget to ensure that her brother can attend his online classes. That is the reality. And that are some conflicts that many students have to face nowadays. That's all for me. Let's continue to the next presenter.
Thank you, KHAIRUL. I will proceed to the next point. The next point of online education challenge is inability to focus on the screen. This is because students have to spend a long time in front of laptop to attend classes. This can lead to computer vision syndrome, CVS. CVS is a condition resulting from focusing the eye on a computer or other display device for protracted, uninterrupted period, and the eye's muscle being unable to recover from the constant tension required to maintain focus on a close object. Some symptoms of CVS include blurred vision, neck pain, eye strain, dry eyes, irritated eye, double vision, dizziness, and difficulty refocusing the eyes. Therefore, if this continues, it will have a negative impact on the health of students. Further, this matter will also indirectly affect the performance of students in their academic achievement. This can also be overcome by compiling a more systematic schedule so that this CVS can be overcome. If this continues to drag on, it will have a negative impact on students. Next, the challenge that students need to face for this online education is to give full focus to the class. This is because when classes are conducted using gadgets such as smartphone or laptop, students will more likely to be easily distracted by social media. This is because smartphone and laptop are usually used for the entertainment compared to the learning process. Therefore, students will tend not to focus during class and look for source of entertainment in their gadget. This will cause the learning process to be ineffective. This can also be overcome with the teacher or lecturer conducting more interactive activities. This will encourage students to participate in activities performed during class. Next, the challenge of online education that is implemented nowadays is not suitable for all subjects. This is because for some subjects, it requires practical or hands-on training. Not all subjects are suitable to be taught only in theory. This is because when subjects that require hands-on or practicality are only taught in theory, it will make it difficult for students to fully understand what being learned. This problem will also affect the teacher or lecturer because the explanation will be difficult for the student to understand. This problem also will affect the result of students in their exam. For example, forestry subject such as botany subject, it requires students to physically hold the specimen so that students can identify the tree. However, if the class is only conducted online, students will find it difficult to do the tree identification process. Another example is in sport science. As sport science students, they need to do outdoor practical related to the sport to be studied. This is necessary to strengthen their understanding of the sport being studied. If this continues, it will have a negative impact on students and will cause boredom to students because the things to be learned are difficult to understand. Besides, for some other subjects, it requires face-to-face interaction. This is because this subject requires students to be in the field to apply the theories that have been taught and learned. If students only understand the theory, it will not help students to apply those skills. This is very worrying because if it lasts like this, it will affect the quality of the student, especially when entering the world of work. For example, recreational subject, it requires students to apply all the theories that have been learned in class so that they understand the theories that have been learned. It will also improve student skill related to the theories they have learned. When this cannot be done, the objective for the subject will not be achieved. That's all from me. I will give to Azizul for the next point. Thank you.
Challenge that need to be faced for online education is students need to have a high level of self-motivation. This is because students have to study alone without being accompanied by friends who are also studying together. This forces students to have high motivation to continue to learn alone. If this continues, it can also increase students' stress level and will affect with their academic achievement. For example, when classes are held physically, friends and teachers will be a motivator to keep students motivated to learn and achieve success. The learning atmosphere will be more fun when students are able to meet their friends physically. Finally, the atmosphere of the house that too comfortable will also disrupt the concentration of students to stay focused on their studies. This is because the atmosphere at home is too comfortable will make students forget that they have a commitment to study. Students will be more likely to do other things than focus on their studies. As a result, it will cause various problems, for example, late submission of assignment, not attending classes, and many more. Therefore, students require a strong self-motivation so that they can overcome this problem. If this problem can't be overcome, it will affect the achievement of the students. So in conclusion, we must understand and able to adapt well with this new normal era. Even though there were several challenges as we explained before, we must know that education is one of the most important things in life. So, all related parties, including individuals, parents, school and government, have to play an important role to overcome this issue during this pandemic. No matter how hard it is, we need to speak the knowledge for future. I hope we as a student can set up well mental and physical through this hard time. Before we end our presentation, I would like to share a quote. Education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today, by Malcolm X. So, that's all from us. Thank you for listening.